everyone! Today's video is going to look at making the interiors for my cards, and so the supplies I need for that is going to be some white fabric, and I picked some fabric that's got a little bit of pattern on it. So this one's got kind of like a crosshatch, this one's got a polka dot, but it's going to be plain enough that I can write on it without it being distracting. And then I also have some Christmas ribbon, which I'm going to be using to make my message inside of the card. So let's look at our first step. So the first thing I'm going to do is apply some interfacing to this fabric to stiffen it up and then cut it down to size for the interior of my card. I've already showed you how to do that in previous videos, so we're just going to skip that step. Alright, so now we have all of our pieces cut. So these are going to be the inside of my card. So we'll just get these out of the way and move on to our next bit, which is getting our ribbon ready. So I found this cute ribbon. I found it at Joann. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do for the inside of my card, and then I saw this ribbon with the message already printed on it. So it says "Very Merry," little poinsettia in the middle. I thought that was super cute, and that would be a good way to keep my fabric theme but still have a, Christmassy message on my card that I didn't have to like hand write or embroider or something. So that seemed like a real great way to do it. So what I'm planning to do is get one of my little card interiors, and then I'll have my little ribbon message up at the top, which I'll just stitch on. So in order to do that, I'm gonna have to cut all of these apart, which, super simple. I'm just gonna cut it between the Very Marys. There we go. Just do it for the whole spool. And then, let's see. So that is how it's going to look. And let's stitch them on. So for this part, I'm going to use red thread. So I'm going to use this one, but I don't actually have a bobbin made for this spool yet. So since winding bobbins is actually kind of fun, I thought I'd throw it in the video. So I've got my empty bobbin here. I need to load my spool onto the stick. I don't know what the right words for these are. And then load it on just how it shows in this little diagram here with the thread pulling up like this. Then you put the guard back on and you loop it around this little silver hook here. Put the thread through the hole in the bobbin so it comes up the top, and then you snap it onto this stick little bobbin holder here, and then push it over to engage next to this this little guard. Make sure the bobbin doesn't wind too much. It stops it when it gets to the edge of the plastic. And then there's a knob on the side of the sewing machine. I don't know if you can see it, probably not. I have to pull this out in order to keep the needle from going up and down. So I do that, and then got to see my messy sewing area over here. Hold this up to the top and then just push down on the pedal as hard as I can. Well, probably won't do as hard as I can, but we can go fast. So I push down and it just winds and winds and winds. At this point, I usually cut my tail off so I don't have to hold it anymore. And then finish winding. And there we go. It won't let it go any farther. And you can see my bobbin, oops, is nice and full. So there we go. All right, so I've got my red thread loaded into my machine, my red bobbins in there. I've got my box of Very Merry ribbons ready to sew on. my stack of card interiors waiting for their ribbons. So let's just sew them together. So like I did with the trees, I'm just going to grab one of my pieces and lay my ribbon on top. This one's actually got a tiny little bit of fraying that I'm going to cut off. And I am just going to eyeball it. And I'm not going to sew the entire thing down. I'm just going to do the edges, and I'm going to do that same zigzag stitch I've been doing the whole time. It's set exactly the same. So I'm actually going to start a little higher than my ribbon. I don't know if you can see that there. The needle will come down right about there. And I'm going to overshoot the edges of this just because I think that's the look I want. I want the zigzag to be wider than the ribbon. So let's see how it turns out. Okay, and I went a couple stitches below the ribbon, and I'm going to do a backwards zigzag the whole way right back up to the top. Okay, I think that looks all right. Yeah, I think I like that. Let's do the other side to see if I like the end result. You're watching this in real time, people. This is the first one I have done, so we'll see if it looks good in the end. I think it will. I think it's going to be kind of, you know, rustic looking, which is fun. Okay, and this edge actually frayed just a little bit because I pulled on a thread I shouldn't have. So I'm going to do it a little bit closer on this edge than I did on the other. But that's really what I'm trying to correct here, is to keep it from fraying and attach it. So that's why I'm only doing the edge I cut, not the finished edge of the ribbon. Okay, so there's up, and then I'm gonna go backwards. Okay. Yeah, I think I like that. It's a little loose, but I think that's kind of cool. It's kind of gives the card, I don't know, a little more texture, a little more of a, I don't know, interactive element. I don't know. I like it, so that's what we're gonna do. And so now I've got a whole box and a whole stack to put together, but don't worry, I won't make you sit through all of that. So that's all I've got for this part of my card. Tune in for the next steps.